Yu-Gi-Oh! Dungeon Dice Monsters 2 for Nintendo Switch. Listen, a Yu-Gi-Oh! Dungeon Dice Monsters 2. Now, mind you, we've had a Dungeon Dice Monsters right before. This is why the 2 is involved here, because we had the Dungeon Dice Monsters for Yu-Gi-Oh! On the Game Boy Advance a long time ago. Long time ago. And I'm mad because I found out probably not even just like a year or two ago that we even had a Dungeon Dice Monsters on Game Boy Advance. Now, I loved the whole Dungeon Dice Monsters thing in Yu-Gi-Oh! In the anime, when we had those 2-3 episodes, it left an impact on my life and that in my brain forever. Just those 3 episodes, and that's crazy, right? But the Dungeon Dice Monsters thing was super awesome. It was super dope. I loved it. I'm mad I didn't get to play the first Dungeon Dice Monsters on the Game Boy Advance, you know what I'm saying? But hopefully they're supposed to be putting it into the Yu-Gi-Oh! Early Days collection for the Nintendo Switch. So let's see, we'll see how that goes. But now, if they made a Dungeon Dice Monsters 2, like, you know, now, in this day of age, on the Switch, it would look absolutely magnificent, alright? The Game Boy Advance one, I mean, I've seen everything about it, gameplay, trailers, this, that. I've seen all of it. I mean, the game looks great. The game looks good. You know what I'm saying? For even being a Game Boy game, a Game Boy Advance game, it looked really good. Okay? I like the way it looked. I see how they made it. It was, you know, it's still pixelized and kind of weird. But can you imagine them putting that in a 3D form on a Nintendo Switch right now? In a part 2 where they can actually now expand on it? Oh my god, it would look just as good as it did in the anime. Alright, it was Yugi versus Duke Devlin on the new field. You know, it's all gridded. It looks like a grid. And you get to make a path with your monsters. You drew in the dice, you know, dimension the dice, you know. Monster comes out of the dice and unfolds to make a path for you on the field. And you can choose what kind of path you want to make it to be. But depending on how the dice unfolds, those are the only different type of you can use. Don't try to, you know, can't take pieces. You know what I'm saying? You make your path to get to the other side, to get to your opponent, and take away one of their 3 heart points. Okay? You and your opponent have 3 heart points, and you have to knock those things out and win the duel. All right? Pretty plain and simple until, you know, you got to get to your opponent first. It ain't that easy. But I would love to see this in a 3D form in a part 2 version where they can even add new characters, because the original Dungeon Dice Monsters, they had a lot of characters that you can pick and choose or go against and all that. It was really cool. Different dice that you can use, different monsters that could be dimension summon, dimension the dice. You know, I'm sorry, I love saying that because it sounds really cool when they say it, and they